So welcome to the start of the final season of The Real Deal. We've got one more season in us before FM19 comes out. And this season, we're going to absolutely go for it. We're going to try and get La Liga title. We're going to try and get a Champions League title. And we're going to start off today by trying to get the European Super Cup. Hello and welcome back to The Real Deal. Today, we've got just the one game for you. We're playing against PSG in the European Super Cup. It's the winner of the Champions League versus the winner of the Europa League. And of course, because we won the Europa League last season, we've got into this competition. It's not really a massively competitive trophy, I don't think. I don't think it really matters too much. It's a bit like the Community Shield in England or perhaps the Spanish Super Cup in Spain, for example. It's kind of like it doesn't really make much sense. It's just there as a game, really, I suppose. However, it does count as silverware, and we would like to win it, which would be very, very nice. First of all, though, I'm going to take you through the start of our summer transfers. I think there's still a few more to go. I'd like to get one or two more bodies into the squad as well. We've still got a little bit, you can see from the schedule here, we've got a little bit of time before the season starts properly. Now, as you can see, a lot of money has been spent, and most of that has been funded by Emmanuel Colonno. Manchester City came in right at the start of the transfer window and bid 87 million straight away, which is minimum fee release clause for Colonno. So we didn't have much of a say in that. Colonno has gone to Man City for 87 million pounds. He's actually worth 79 million pounds there. So he's clearly a very, very good player. It was going to be very tough for us to keep him. It did say for quite a while that Man City were interested, but I didn't think they'd actually go and release his release fee clause. But they did. So he went for 87 million pounds. Romero's also gone for 6 million, and Toussaint's also gone for 1.8, rising to 2.3 million. So that gave us 95 million pounds to spend basically, and we spent 88 million of it so far on some decent players. I've got to say, I wanted to strengthen at the back first of all. So we signed. Not a defender. We signed a midfielder. This is the replacement for Colonno. Domenico Cardia comes in as a deep line playmaker, essentially. 4-star current ability, 5-star potential. 19 years old, Belgian player. I mean, he's very, very good. He's a replacement for Colonno. He's not as good as Colonno. Colonno was... I mean, you probably saw from the attributes, Colonno's are just incredible. This guy perhaps will get there at some stage, but we're not going to see it because we've only got one more season to go. But he comes in for £22 million from Standard Liège, where he had a very, very good season there last year. So I believe he can carry that forward and bring it to Oviedo and really help us out. We also signed another midfielder straight after that. Angel Cordero comes in from Real Madrid for £1 million. Scout report said 3-star, it comes back as 2.5-star, but for £1 million that we spent on him, it's really not that bad of a deal for a player that was always going to be a backup player coming in. He's been at Real Madrid for quite a while in the B team and things like that. Played relatively well in the B team and things like that, but never really broke into their first team. Wasn't ever going to, and was on the transfer list for £1 million, so we thought we'd pick him up. Next up though, record-breaking transfer fee, 35.5 million for Paulo Chiron. He's a player that I tried to sign late. He was my first choice centre-back that I've been trying to sign for the past 2 seasons actually. And we finally managed to get him. He's one of the best young, affordable ones out there that we could get our hands on. He's got fantastic attributes in heading and marking and tackling. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential. Crucially, left-footed as well. I like to have my centre-back on the left-hand side to be left-footed and my centre-back on the right-hand side to be right-footed. It doesn't really matter too much, but that's what I like. And so he's going to come in on that left-hand side of the centre of defence, and he's going to be a fantastic player. Played really well for Lazio the past few seasons, I've got to say. Been very, very consistent. Hopefully he's really going to strengthen the defence, and with that is going to come a few less draws, and it means we're going to pick up a few extra points and maybe actually go and win a title this season. Jordan Harbo also back again from Everton on loan. Again, we're paying a lot per month, but it's our last season, so I wasn't really too fussed about paying loads of money for him on loan. He's a player that we love. We know all about him. He's coming in, plays in in fact, he's more of a CDM than a central midfielder, but we like to play him in both positions because he's very, very versatile. Unfortunately, Badeka isn't going to be coming back. We've tried to get him. They've quoted me £88 million to buy him. They won't let him go on loan. So Badeka, like we thought, is gone forever, unfortunately. So thank you for your service, Badeka. RIP. Next up, Mauricio Lemos comes in from Cologne for a very cheap £13.5 million. He's going to partner Paulo Chiron in the centre of defence. 3.5-star current ability, once again. He's getting on a little bit, Mauricio Lemos, but for that kind of money and for his kind of quality, I thought we couldn't really pass it off, especially in this last season when we're going to try and win a Champions League or La Liga. He's a fantastic player. Been a bit of a journeyman. He's been around quite a bit. He's been in Uruguay where he started, then Las Palmas, Monaco, Bournemouth, Cologne last season. But where he's played, he's been very consistent, and I've liked him before when I've had him in Football Manager, and he's been a really solid player for me all the time in Football Manager. So I think he's a great buy to get. And finally, for £8 million, Oral Stan comes in from, this is Steaua Bucharest, isn't it, in Romania, for £8 million. He's 19 years old, but 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Really, really good. He's going to come in as a backup to the guy that we bought. What was his name? Domenico I can't remember his surname now, but Dominiso somebody, he's going to come in as the backup for him, basically. So he's going to be off the bench most of the time, but played very, very well for Steaua Bucharest last season. So they're all transfers so far. I want to get in a right back because we've got rid of David Cameron. His contract ended. He's gone. I want to get another right back in who's someone better than Diouf as well. And I'd like to get someone else up front to sort of be back up to Hans Osmanovic. We've only got Nacho again. We've only got the 2 strikers. I'd like a third one there as well. So there's all the summer business so far. I'll update you next episode when we hopefully get another right back and striker, and that's what the plan is. We can now move swiftly on to this game against PSG. So a slightly new look side, I've got to say. There's a few new players starting today that you may not be familiar with, but you will get familiar with them very, very soon. Berkeyzer stays in goal as per usual. Cucurella on the left and Diouf as right back, but Lemos and Chiron come in as the new centre-back partnership. Thomas Partey stays in the centre of defensive midfield for now, although Harbo will probably play there at some point as well. Dad's still in that box-to-box midfield position. Cardia is the name that I was forgetting. It's Dominiso Cardia. He comes in as that deep line playmaker now, so hopefully we're going to see some great stuff from him. Antic, of course, on the left. Orsolini on the right for now. He's very cross with me because he asked for a new contract and I said no. So he's a bit cross with me, but hopefully he'll be all right this season. And then, of course, the boy, Hans Osmanovic, who's now happy to stay at the club, apparently. He doesn't want to leave anymore, so hopefully he'll be back in the goals again for us this season. Right then, kickoff is upon us today. It's a big game, actually. I would like to win this trophy. It wouldn't matter too much if we don't win it. I'm not too fussed, but it's a good game to show, I think. It's against very, very good opposition. Of course, Neymar's still there. Kylian Mbappe still at PSG. So they're really, really top quality players. Vinicius Jr. is also very, very good as well. Neymar's early warning shot isn't on target, so that's fine by me. I think how we do in this game today is a barometer of how we could do in the Champions League this season. Of course, PSG won the Champions League last season. If we end up beating them today, I think we'd have a pretty good chance of winning the Champions League. Although they have just gone 1-0 up. Denis Suarez with the goal there. I'm not sure if he's a real player or a regen or not, but he scored the goal, which is a bit annoying. We are, of course, playing quite an attacking formation. We're playing our standard attacking formation. So we've gone all out basically today to try and get something. Of course, it's still pre-season technically. So there's a long way for us to go still. A lot of progress to be made and things like that still. But I want to get a feel for how this team are gelling so far, because I don't play the friendlies. I get my assistant manager to do it because who has time to do the friendlies, really? Mbappe on the ball, though, puts it into Suarez, who gets his second of the game 12 minutes in, and this actually could be quite a long game if we don't get our act together. Well, stat-wise, half an hour into the game, we seem to be getting ourselves back into it, but there's been no highlights for us so far, so clearly the chances we are creating aren't particularly good. This is also actually, I think, the first game this combination of players has played, of course. We've played different combinations. I think my assistant manager plays different combinations. I know this is the first game. This is the first game I think Chiron's actually played. He's been on international duty with Italy for the Olympics, I believe. That's what he's been doing. So this is actually his first game in Oviedo colours. So it's probably just throwing him into the deep end in a big competitive game like this. But at half-time, we are 2-0 down. It's not the end of the world, of course, but we seem to be, apart from possession, we seem to be in this game. And that's a nice sign. I think if we can stay in the game, that gives us a good indication of how we could do this season in the Champions League. I know earlier I did say if we lose or win, that's a good barometer. But now I'm changing that to how we do in the stats, because I don't think we're going to come back and win this now, unfortunately. First highlight of the second half then, and Denis Suarez just put Neymar through, and I mean, pretty quickly, they've just broken through a defence there. Neymar scoring the goal. I think he's won World Player of the Year a few times, maybe. But I could be lying to you about that. Let's just double check this. Actually, looking down his list, I don't think he has won like a World Player of the Year. It's all like League One or League I should probably say. I don't think he has won anything. So let's have a look quickly. Oh no, it's Mbappe that keeps winning. Who's won World Player of the Year. Paulo Dybala's won it a few times as well. In fact, I don't think Neymar's even been there. I think, personally, in real life, I think Neymar is overrated. I think, in real life, Mbappe is better than Neymar. And a lot of you won't agree with me, but I'm going to stick by that. To be fair, we're going to have time, actually, in this episode. This episode's a short one because it's just this one-off game. What I want to talk to you about, World Player of the Year. Right. Mbappe's won it. 54 appearances, 43 goals, 15 assists. Dybala, 37 appearances, 29 goals, 12 assists. Griezmann, 47 appearances, 43 goals, 6 assists. All right, so they're pretty good stats. You know, they deserve the recognition for what they've done. I do just want to point out that Hans Osmanovic in recent seasons, last season, I mean, it's 52 appearances, 45 goals, 11 assists, 10 player of the matches. Season before that, 42 appearances, 45 goals, 13 assists, 12 player of the matches. I honestly think Hans Osmanovic these past 2 years has been massively, massively overlooked. And I genuinely think he should be up there. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he's not. Osmanovic, though, has won the Golden Shoe for the past 2 seasons in a row, and I think like that's something that should be awarded, basically. That's a European competition for the most deadly marksman in all of European football. So he scores the most goals in the least amount of games, basically, that kind of thing. So yeah, sorry about the little rant, sort of interrupting the game there, but I genuinely think Hans Osmanovic is massively overlooked by world football and European football. So I expect him to win a world award this year. If he doesn't, then there is no justice in this world, as said by famous musician Lamar. Either way, though, here come PSG once again looking for a fourth goal, which would be pretty detrimental to our hopes of winning today. And there it is, Justin Kluivert with the fourth goal for PSG. Let's make a few changes, shall we? Let's just treat this as a pre-season friendly now. Leonardo Meza is going to come on. Also, Pelaez is going to come on as well. So new wingers, because Adzadjan and Orsolini not doing particularly well out there. I'm also pretty keen to see how Stan gets on. Of course, the youngster, Romanian youngster. Why is he called? I didn't think. Aurel Stan. I thought he had a longer surname than that, but he doesn't. So Stan's going to come on alongside Meza and Pelaez. I reckon they deserve a bit of game time. Let's see how they do in a competitive environment. If they do well, then maybe we've got a bit of a headache for the first game of the season about who we pick. Calling out for PSG, Ousmane Dembele puts it in the area and it's been cleared, but only as far as their players in the area. Justin Kluivert can't quite get on the end of it. Now Adriano Pelaez has got the task of getting into the PSG box. He's doing quite a good job of it. He gets out wide, got players waiting in the middle, tackled though, and I feel like the highlight was for their corner rather than the counter-attack that was coming off it. Throw in for us, pretty close to the end of the game now, 86 minutes. Osmanovic into Leonardo Meza, who gets tackled, and now Ousmane Dembele can come forward with it. Sort of cuts through a defence. Neymar now, Justin Kluivert on the ball, can put his cross in. Berke collects it quite comfortably. We've not really seen a highlight for us attacking-wise yet. I'd like to see one towards the end of this game. If we can get a consolation goal, that would be pretty good. Mauricio Lemos on the ball, up to Aurel Stan, who comes forward, the young Romanian chap, surging forward in towards Adriano Pelaez, who's got a decent cross in him, puts it in to Meza at the back post, who just puts it over the bar. I think that's the closest we've come all game, because I think that's the only highlight for us we've seen so far. And unfortunately, that's that. We lose 4-0 to PSG. I think there are positives to take from that, from the stats. Like, it was a very close game by looks of things, but it's just that extra quality that PSG have, and perhaps the new mix at the back isn't really working. Well, it's not working, obviously. We lost 4-0, but this is their first lineup together as a back four, I'd imagine. So it kind of makes sense that there's teething problems early on. But I would have liked to see us trouble PSG going forward a little bit more, but I guess it just wasn't to be today. PSG obviously another level up from us, but I think there are positives to take from that game. Right then, next episode then. I think we just jump straight into this Champions League game. We won't bother doing the draw in an episode. We'll just get to that Champions League game and I'll tell you about the group and things like that. I think that's probably the best thing to do. We've got, roughly 2 weeks until the beta comes out. The actual game comes out on the 2nd of November, and the beta usually comes out 2 weeks before then. So if I just check the dates, so 2nd of November is a Friday, so the 19th of October is roughly when FM 19 is going to come out, the beta that is. So that gives us 9 episodes worth if we only do weekdays, you see. So I kind of want to get through this season pretty quickly so we can just sort of make the transition to FM 19 pretty quickly. Hopefully there won't be too much waiting around in between series, basically, for the new game. So if we get through this season pretty quickly, I think that's going to be quite a good idea. All right then, well, thank you very much for watching today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. I certainly have. Although we've lost 4-0, you've got to see some new players, and I think there's a lot to think about, which is quite nice. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I will see you next time for some more Real Deal action.